Is your business pootling along instead of firing on all cylinders? Are you feeling overwhelmed, stressed, and frustrated? Do your dreams of financial freedom feel a long way off? Then this is the podcast for you. Little Voice, Big Business, with your host, Nadia Finer.
Hello and welcome to Little Voice, Big Business. I'm Nadia Finer and I'm here to help you grow your business. In today's episode 3, I'm going to be hearing from Jennifer, and we're going to be talking about the thorny issue of pricing. Jennifer, she's a copywriter and she wants to know a bit more about how to price her services.
Hi Nadia, I'm Jennifer from jennifermyers.net and I'm a copywriter for coaches, and I wondered if you could tell me any tips you have for choosing what prices to charge your clients. Thank you.
Okay.
Money makes the world go around, the world go around, the world go around. Money makes the world go around, it makes the world
Jennifer,
go
thanks very much for your question. And I think it's a really interesting issue. Pricing is so difficult and sometimes, we just can't seem to get it right. I think really there's no right or wrong answer, and that's the problem. So how much should somebody like you charge for your products or services? Well, I can't tell you. I can't give you the right answer. I'm afraid it's very tricky, but I can give you some pointers that will hopefully help you get to the right decision. If you price too high, people might not part with their cash, but if you go too low, you risk looking cheap and not making any money at all. Ultimately, how much you charge depends on how much real people, and I'm not talking about your mum or your friends, how much real people are willing to pay for your product or service. Like I said, there's no right or wrong answer, so I wouldn't drive yourself completely round the bend trying to work out the perfect price. But if you bear these things in mind, hopefully that will help you to get to make a good decision. So first of all, you need to consider your brand positioning. Where does your product or service sit in the marketplace? What kind of brand do you intend to create? Are you premium, mass market? Are you super affordable? If you plan to communicate high quality or luxury, you need to probably be priced above your competitors. However, it's not as simple as that. If you go super high but you don't back it up with the correct branding or the value that you're delivering, people will just think you're overpriced. I would not suggest going too low. I know there's a temptation when we are new to business or we work by ourselves, we start questioning how much we're worth, and there's a tendency to go low. That you're on a hiding to nothing if you do that, because you'll constantly find people who are more expensive than you, and then what will you do? Go cheaper still? Essentially, if you go low, there's a race to the bottom, and you do not want to be at the bottom. It's not a great place to be. So somewhere in the middle, somewhere above the middle, maybe slightly high, is perfect. Cost of goods. Now, how much does it actually cost you to create and deliver your product or service? Once you know this, you can ensure that you're turning a profit. Now, profit is one of the things that we often don't hear about. We're constantly being told how much people have turned over, how much money they've made, but we don't hear how much it costs them to get to that point. So I think you need to look long and hard at your costing and how much time you're spending, and find out how much it actually costs you to deliver your services, and then that's a really good starting point to see how much you're going to charge from there. Don't forget to look at your competitors. What's everyone else charging? You definitely don't want to be in a price war with your competitors, but if you go too high, you'll be priced out the market. So I know everyone's individual and we might not like to think of ourselves as having competitors, but it is a good idea to see what's going on in the market and what people are perhaps seeing around them, your customers, what they're seeing around them, to give yourself an idea of where you should be approximately. This is an interesting point actually about what the market will bear, i.e. what your customers can afford. I know some people don't think about this, and they believe that if people really want to buy from you or work with you, they'll somehow find the money. However, I don't think that's a sensible way of working. I don't think it has anything to do with your self-confidence or your view of the world or any money issues that you might have, like some people would have us believe. I think that we need to be sensible about this. If you're targeting entrepreneurs, some of whom are maybe not that well off yet, or say you had a different type of business and you were targeting single mums who were juggling to pay the bills, your pricing would need to be affordable, or you won't have many customers. It's as simple as that. However, if you're selling to millionaires, or maybe Jennifer, you're writing copy for more established businesses, it could be a different story. Although sometimes actually the people who have lots of money are really tight, and that's why they've got lots of money. So it's definitely something to look into. How much, think of it as the wallet or the purse of your customers. How much is in there? And how much do you think they would be prepared to invest in your services? However, if you're unique and you're offering something special that they can't get anywhere else, you'll have a lot more freedom. If you're different, it does enable you to charge a higher price. So if you were, for example, the only copywriter who worked for shoe designers, let's say, and you became famous as the copywriter to the shoe designing world, you would be able to charge a premium because nobody else is doing that, and that makes you unique. So if you can make sure your offering is special in some way and doesn't blend into the crowd, then that gives you some freedom or some leverage, and you can charge some higher prices. Now, I want to talk about value. It's all very well us setting a price, but we really need to think about the value that you're delivering for your customers. Does your product or your service change lives in some way? If so, if your product changes lives, people may be willing to spend rather a lot of money on it. If you can communicate the value you're delivering, that's the key to being able to charge a good price. So you've got to sell them the dream. Don't just say, I write words for people. I write stuff for your website. That's what you're doing, but it's how and the impact and the value that you're delivering, the change that you're going to be making their lives, and the dream, the fact that, once they've got this amazing copy on their website that you've written, they'll be able to grow their businesses to the point where they can spend more time with their families and they can live more, or they maybe want to live a more flexible lifestyle so they can travel the world. Your work is enabling them to achieve their dreams. You need to be able to communicate how your work is going to be changing their lives, the dreams that they'll be able to realise as a result of your work or your product. I like to think about Apple laptops in this way. Their product, their brand, enables people to live a certain kind of lifestyle, which you can't really put a price on. So when I'm considering which one to get next, do I want a bog standard $500 laptop? I could do, and it's not going to say anything much about me. It's not going to change my life in any way. It's just, going to enable me to do my work. Or I could spend 4 times as much on an Apple, which makes me look really cool, makes me feel clever and successful every time I use it. So in that way, you can see how branding and selling the dream enables you to charge more money. Okay, so I'm sure that you're not just delivering one service, or that you maybe don't just have one product. And I want you to think about how everything fits together, how it flows. Think of it like pieces in a jigsaw. Or there's an interesting book called The Curve, Okay, it's written by Nicholas Lavelle, The Curve, and it's a bit boring and quite repetitive, but I do like the... It sounds like I don't like this book. It's actually a really interesting book, but put it this way, if you can't sleep, it's quite useful. But the basic concept behind The Curve is really interesting. It's curve pricing, and it's based on the assumption that different people are willing to spend different amounts of money based on their personal preferences, and that you can move people along a curve from being freeloaders to superfans. So, for example, this sounds a bit odd, I know, but just imagine a curve on a graph, and the bottom of the graph is where all the free people are, and there's lots of them, so that bit of the graph is long but very low. And then it sort of sharply curves up. So the next stage on from free is a low-priced offering, and quite a few people will buy into that because it doesn't cost too much and it's a low investment. They're placing their trust in you, but you're not charging too much at this stage. And then think of it curving up dramatically, and at the top is your highest priced product. Not many people will buy into that, but there will be some people who want the full Monty. They want to spend thousands of dollars with you. They're your super fans. So along the curve, you've gone from the freebie lovers, or as he called them, the freeloaders, to the super fans. And I think it's sensible to consider having a range of pricing in your business. So you have a free download or an ebook. Then you have a fantastic value e-course or book or DVD or mini session, for example, for say $47 or $97. And then you've got your premium consulting services with one-to-ones, and they're, hundreds of dollars per session. And that way you've got a range and you've moved people along the curve. Right, if you're not sure still where to price your offering, one great way of doing it is to have a beta test or an early bird offer for a particular product. It gives you the chance to start off low and gradually increase the price as you feel more comfortable. You get to test the market, and that way people who come on board know that it's a test and they're keen to get in early, but it also gives you scope to go up. I love this method because it feels less risky, and I love the idea that you're testing it on real life people and seeing how it goes and then making changes as you go along. I want to talk to you about knowing your worth. So before we go, let's just have a quick chat about knowing your worth. When you're thinking about pricing, don't talk yourself out of money. We often feel tempted to shave more and more off our price because we don't believe in ourselves and we're worried that people won't want to buy from us. If you are offering a quality product, you charge a decent price. Otherwise, you're going to be constantly struggling to make ends meet. You'll be undervaluing your business, and your customers may even question how good you really are. People equate price to quality. Think about that laptop I told you about and how much you'd be prepared to spend on a different brand of jeans and why that might be. Don't go in too low. You may get super busy. I've worked with people who come to me and they're like, I'm booked up. I've got every hour of the day booked up with clients. And we look at why, and they're charging such a low fee that people think, oh yes, I'll definitely work with her. She's doing a great job, and they can't believe their luck. But the problem is, you'll be exhausted. You will be so tired because in order to make enough money to live, you have to book more and more and more people. It's just not sustainable. And I've made that mistake myself before, actually. And I think now that I've got a good few years' experience under my belt, I recognise the little monkey on my shoulder going, you're not worth it. Go cheaper, go cheaper. and I just punch it in the face and tell it to go away, and I crack on with growing my business and charging a good price for my services. So if you get that little monkey on your shoulder telling you to go cheaper, go lower, because you don't feel confident in your abilities, punch it in the face and move on. I know that sounds a bit extreme, but it's really important. A final point is to go with your gut. You know what feels good. I'm sure you know what feels right for your customers and for yourself. So once we've got rid of the monkey on your shoulder, you will have a sense. I'm not a spiritual person, but I understand about intuition and gut feeling, and I think that you will have a sense in your stomach of what the right price is and what people will be willing to pay and what feels good to you and to them. You can always change it later, but if you can connect with that sense of intuition and gut feeling, it's going to make it a whole lot easier. To finish up, pricing, like I said, is a really tricky issue. The key is to find what feels good to you and go with it. That, yes, I've shared lots of techniques where you want to sit in the market, think about your competitors, what people are willing to pay, how much profit you're actually going to make, obviously. Also, the value that you're delivering, and how everything fits together in a curve or in a flow or a jigsaw. Whether you want to test your audience with a beta version or an early bird pricing. It comes down to knowing your worth, and don't sell yourself short or you're going to just be busy and broke, which is not the plan at all. Go with your gut, get rid of the monkey on your shoulder and price yourself confidently. That would be my advice. So thank you for listening to Little Voice Big Business. In our next episode, we're going to be focusing on a really interesting topic: how to market to teenagers. And if you've enjoyed listening to this episode, please head over to my website, nadiafiner.com/podcast, where you can listen to previous episodes and also subscribe. Please leave reviews. I'd love to hear what you think. If you're facing a business challenge, or you have a question, or you've simply got the business blues, why not call up and leave me a message and I'll help you in one of our next episodes. If you go onto my website, nadiafiner.com, then head over to the right hand side. There's a little widget in pink that you can click on that says Be on the Podcast, and it's like a voicemail. Just leave me a message and I will answer your question. So thank you very much for tuning in to Little Voice Big Business, and I'll hopefully speak to you very soon. Bye bye.
Little Voice Big Business.